This is the most frustrating thing that I've had with DALL-E, where you tell it to do something and it just like can't get out of its own brain. What's good, everybody? Today I am answering a question from one of my patrons that he was asking about what are some of the best practices for DALL-E and ChatGPT 4. Is it worth it? Yes, I think it is. If you saw that video that I did about me and Chat becoming best friends, that was just with 3.5. That was the free version. And then since then, I ended up investing in the Chat 4, and it has like paid for itself and then some, because I use it for client stuff and I use it for my own business stuff. So just a couple little things to know. Chat 4 uses DALL-E to analyze and create images. Chat, if you're in the chat window, you can still create images. You don't have to go over to DALL-E. But I do recommend jumping over to DALL-E if you do want to create images and you kind of want to work on the prompting of the images, because you get 2 images at a time versus doing it in chat, which is 1. Also, chat is great at chatting. It's amazing at chatting and analysis of all sorts of things. Whereas DALL-E is a specialist in imagery. Each one will pull from the other. So DALL-E definitely does chat. But if you want to do like more higher end things, use chat. If you want to do higher end images, use DALL-E. That's all. Okay. So chat does cost right now about $20 a month, or not about, it does cost $20 a month. And so one of the things that I do whenever I'm working for a client is, or myself, is define the brand, define the style that I want. So what I'm going to do is I've already programmed what my style is into chat. So first I'm going to ask it about that. Right here, I just asked, what is my preferred image style? And it said that my preferred image style emphasizes rich contrast, dynamic lighting, and a moody yet positive feel. And then the style is designed to evoke emotion and depth, capturing genuine and impactful narratives that reflect the authentic storytelling essence of your brand, 124 Productions. So the style is dynamic. It's something that speaks to me. It's dark. It's moody. It's impactful. I like that. It works for me on a personal brand, and it works for my 124 Productions brand. Each one is slightly different. My 124 Productions is a little bit more corporate, whereas my personal style is a little more grungy. So identifying your style and what it is that you're looking to do is really important. So I'll show you how to program that in. Once you have a conversation, honestly, go through with chat 3.5 or 4, it doesn't matter. If you're only for the first time trying to identify your style and kind of like really work through what your brand essence is, then I would say just use 3.5 because it's unlimited chatting and you don't need images at that point. And you can talk unlimited, and it's super fast. It's really fast. So once you kind of figure out what it is that you want to kind of like program into 4, so that you can, now you don't have to like talk to it each time you do a chat window. You can just go over here down into where your image is or your name, go to customize ChatGPT. And then you have you have 2 sets of custom instructions. What would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? And then how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Now, this is where I put the image style. I put the tone that I like. You have 1,500 characters, so you can really go to town with this. So you can see, like, I have key content notes. I have the image style. I have the tone. And actually, the tone, I think, is the most important thing. And I'll just touch on that right here, but we're not going to really talk about it too much. But it's really important for when I'm having conversations with it to keep in mind my background and the legacy aspects of my business. Content should feel personal and reflect a deep understanding of the subject matter, mirroring the consultative and partnership focused approach of 124 Productions. So it's really important to have that in there. I feel like even more so than the image, but we're talking about images. Maybe that's another video, but that's something that you really kind of want to define, and just having that conversation with chat ahead of time and then kind of programming it. You can even say, hey, I want to put this into custom instructions. So what's a good succinct way to remind you of what I want? And like, it'll actually give you the little like paragraph. Now it already knows my preferred image style. So that's number one, is to train it on what your image style is, and then like program it in on that. And then anytime you make a new chat after you've updated that customized GPT, every new chat after that is going to remember that stuff. It's going to analyze that. It's going to access that. If you're not sure what your style is, you could do a couple things. You could say, let me take this guy. I'm going to take this guy. I made a series of images a while back. And maybe you have images that like a mood board. Maybe you have a Pinterest or whatever it is. And like they're things that you like to create your style. Maybe you haven't worked on your brand. It is important to kind of understand your brand, just because it does influence everything that you do, whether you know it or not. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have it analyze these 4 images for consistencies and similarities to help, because it's like, oh, this is what my brand is. I really want to recreate this style for all my images. So that's what we're going to do here. The other thing too is, so far I said, analyze these images for similarities so we can recreate the style in future images. Tell it what it is that you really like about it. Okay, so analyze these images for similarities so we can recreate the style in future images. I really like the atmospheric look, glowing effects, mammoth appearances of the creatures, and glowing effects. Oh, I said glowing effects twice. The images you've shared possess a powerful, cohesive style that you're drawn to. Yeah, thanks. Here are the key similarities that stand out. So majestic creature focus. Each image centers around a single mammoth creature. Now, you could do this. It don't have to be all the same thing. So it doesn't, like, I just grabbed 4 of the same, basically the same image. It's just different subject matter. And, but you could, maybe one's a car, one's a horse, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just, you're looking for the style. And so as long as there's a similarity to them, even if they're not similar in tone at all, but there's something that like touches you, where it's like, something about the image that just like really grasps you, you can have it analyze and say, what's similar about these things? Why do I like them so much? Like, you don't even know why, but you have that conversation. I know it sounds dumb, but like, you have that conversation with chat, and it'll help like get you there. So you can see here, dynamic lighting, detailed texture, enigmatic environments. It feels both expansive and enclosing. There's a sense of larger world beyond the frame that is rich and immersive. Like it nails it for the stuff that I like, the atmospheric mood, the glowing effect. I'm just a sucker for this stuff. So, to recreate this style in future image, consider these elements as part of your creative process. And so it's giving me this as bullet points, which is great. So it's having a conversation with me, but I want it to still do more of the work for me. So, because I'm lazy. So I said, awesome. Could you create a baseline prompt that could help me get this style across for future image creation? So you can see here, it says create a hyper-realistic image of a colossal creature with commanding presence, standing upright in a humanoid posture. The creature should blend features of known majestic animals with fantasy elements to convey power and ancient wisdom. The environment should be atmospheric and immersive, suggesting a vast and mysterious world extending behind the frame. So you can see it gets really in depth. One of the best things about DALL-E is, or chat, is that you can use paragraphs of text like this to get images. If you're familiar with Stable Diffusion, you can't really do that. There's, XL, Stable Diffusion XL, the models, you can use more like regular language, but it's still not like this. Like if I plugged this in, it wouldn't really give me what I'm looking for. Nothing near this. And so like, that's really the power behind this. It's very simple to use because we speak in language, right? Rather than like almost code. You have to understand what the models use in Stable Diffusion to get the best out of what you're doing. It's a lot of like playing and like using different positive and negatives. Here you just talk. You just work like you're working with a professional graphic designer or somebody that's illustrating or, photographer, whatever. So, so anyway, so you could take this and you could work with it, and you could plug this over into DALL-E. You could keep working on this. And if you were to say, hey, okay, let's make this work, but for my business, I sell cars. And so I want to create these images, but with the car being the focus, and kind of work with it and just talk with it and figure out like what's working, what's not. So, but honestly, I cannot emphasize enough to work with chat to understand who and what you're doing, because you're working with a partner here, and it's almost like training a dog. You know how they say that you're not training the dog, you're training you. And it's very similar. So you're kind of like, when you're talking to chat, you're drilling down into what it is that you're looking for. And then you're able to say it more succinctly and see it and do it. And then you're working through the problem with chat. So anyway, super awesome partner. So you can take this, do that for you. So kind of train it, program it over into that customized chat GPT section. So for DALL-E, I'm going to show you here. You can see there's several things that I've created here. These are some of my images I made for social media for 124. Now I do have a tendency to like, I'll take these things and then I'll jump into Photoshop and I'll manipulate them somehow. So it gives me a good baseline. And so what DALL-E does really well is styling. So if you tell it Pixar style, if you tell it the moody, grungy style, it doesn't do like photorealism well, but it seems to do like everything else pretty well. You will get things like this where you get like 3 legs. So, I mean, it's kind of fun. Anyway, in this image, it didn't work for what I was looking for. But you can see here, these are some samples of different stylistic things. So I have like create a happy bunny with big eyes and bright sunny day. This was close to Easter. So looking at the camera, holding a flower, ultra wide angle lens, cartoon, extreme low angle, field of flowers, pastel colors. So I started to do what I do with Stable Diffusion, where it's like you put in like very simple things with a comma, like things you wanted to focus on. I stopped being conversational with it. And so it gave me these, which was okay. And then I said, make it a fluffy bunny with just a regular wide angle lens. He's cute and happy. And like it popped these out, which I think are way better than these. These feel like a movie, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of what it's trained on. But so then I wanted to see about like in this example, like this is kind of pure happiness. And then I wanted to see what it would do for human. So I said, please create a beautiful young woman full of joy and innocence. She should be smiling brightly, have short red hair, yada, 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 yada. Essence of happiness. Okay. It should be, but this is why I wanted to bring this up. DALL-E gets lazy sometimes. And I mean, so does chat, but it should be a vertical portrait shot in cinematic lighting and hyper realistic. Now the image itself is actually not bad. It's the only problem is that it's a portrait. It's not a portrait. It's not vertical. I mean, it is vertical, and it is 16:9, maybe, or 4:5, whatever it is. It's vertical, but basically it made a landscape and it just turned it 90 degrees. And so that's not what I was looking for. And I said, make her outside, and let's see, and the shot of her be vertical. Currently, she is sideways in the vertical frame, but it makes it essentially a horizontal image. So I'm yelling at DALL-E. So it made it a better, like, realistic thing, but it still wasn't listening. So this is the most frustrating thing that I've had with DALL-E, where you tell it to do something and it just like can't get out of its own brain. It gets like, it doesn't understand. Most of the time it'll make a vertical thing. It'll do a portrait, but sometimes it won't. Now this is not the end of the world, because I can pull this into Photoshop. I can rotate it. I can expand it. I can play around with it. But if I just wanted an image where it's a portrait, it just doesn't work. And then I said, And I said, DALL-E, do you understand that I want a portrait shot that's vertical? And it says, yes, I understand that you're looking for a portrait shot that is vertical. When creating the image, I aim to meet the specifications, blah, 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 blah. And I got mad. Why is it this image keeps showing up sideways to make a landscape shot then? It seems there was a misunderstanding in the execution of this request. I forgot I had this conversation, leading to the unintended orientation of the image. The misalignment between description and the generated output is regrettable. It sure is. I strive to accurately interpret and fulfill requests, but it appears in this instance the visualization didn't align as expected. If you'd like, I can attempt another image with a specific orientation and details in mind to better meet your expectations. Yes, please do so. I've attempted to create a new image following your specifications for true vertical portrait. As it's still not right. Please give me the prompt you're using to create these images. So this is one of those things I use for troubleshooting. And so anyway, I kept on going. I gave up. It finally did make it. I had to play with it. But it's not hyper realistic. Anyway, so I gave up and I was trying to create, footbridge because I got a project that I'm working on for in the Amazon, and that kind of brought me down a rabbit hole. It did a great job. It does dark and spooky really well. Anyway, you don't have to look at all these things, but you can see like there's different stylistic things that you can make. You can, one of the most powerful things that you can use with DALL-E and Chat is to analyze the images. So we did that already with the style. But what you can also do is take screenshots of like the text on your website, and you can, you don't have to copy and paste the text in. You can just give it the image and it'll read the text off the image. So I said, good, now I need an image to go along with the text found in the screenshot. So based off of the content of this screenshot, create an image. So anyway, these are the images that came out with the eye. Anyway, we don't need to go into all these things, but like it does a great job. Where was so there are times where it does get it right. And was it that? No, it was right here. So I did some Minuteman stuff because I have Patriots Day coming up here in the United States. That's April 15th. That's the shot heard around the world, for those that are interested. And then, so in this case, it actually did a good job where I was like, oh yeah, awesome. Please do it again. They should look battle weary. Both look battle weary. Cause I didn't want one guy to like, this one looked like they were just like, hey, what's going on? You want to go grab coffee? You know? So that's not what I wanted. So it came out with this. This one actually blew me away because if you look at it, this guy looks like a photo. I mean, like this guy's hands aren't right, but like this guy's face looks like a photo. So I even said like, that one looks very lifelike on the main subjects. How did you create such lifelike characters? So anyway, so I asked it about that. I actually saw this on Reddit and I wanted to analyze and see how to recreate it. So I just ended up recreating it, but with different things. And so that's what we're going to get into here now. This is the last bit. So, this was, let's see, I made, I think it's on this one. The last thing that you can do is to edit images. So this is something that I just learned, like literally to do this video. I was playing around with DALL-E for a couple minutes and I noticed that up here, you can select something and change it. So, let's see, what I did here is this one here, you can see this flame is in this barrel or the pot. So what I really liked this one. And I liked this one too, but because I liked the flame in this one, I was like, oh, let me give it a shot. So all you have to do, is select the area and say, whatever it is that you want to do. And this is brand new. So you can see, I actually already did this up here. It says make a flame coming out of the pot. So it's a source of warmth. One of the things that I didn't like about it, I mean, it did a phenomenal job. If you look at the image here, I don't want to mess with this. I don't want to click on it. But if you look at this image here, it did it. It went from this here selected this guy, but it didn't illuminate him at all. It didn't adjust him at all, but I think it's because I didn't select enough of him. But again, you could take that into Photoshop and then just do that manually if you know how to do that. And maybe if that's something you're interested in, maybe I'll do a video on that. So it's thinking, it's doing its thing. So while this actually takes a while. So one of the things that I did over here, it's not showing this image for whatever reason. So what I wanted to try was uploading an image, and in the image, it was a drone shot and there was a parking lot in the background. So I said, do you see the parking spots? I'd like to add a red van in one of them. So it doesn't seem like it can take images, like actual images that you've uploaded, and modify them, because it said, I said, I want to select an area and modify this image. It said, absolutely. If you have an area of this image you want to focus on and modify, just describe what you're thinking. And so I said, you see this parking spots, I want to add a red van. And then it didn't, it just made its own red van in parking spots. So, I mean, that's good, but not what I was looking for. And then what I did was I selected a section of this, and I said, make the lights on with visible beams. And it said, now the van appears with its headlights on, casting beams of light across the parking lot, enhancing the realism and depth of the scene. It's the exact same shot as the original. Here's the original. Here's the one with its headlights on. So it's not real good, but there are certain things where, like, you can see now this guy has the flame. The flame has been added to the pot, creating a source of warmth with its light reflecting on the surroundings to enhance the sense of flickering fire in ancient dungeon settings. So you can see right here, look at that. Like it's not bad. It's not, I would do a little bit more personally, but I mean, hey, it's fine. I don't love that flame. I actually really like the flame that I had before. It was this guy here. This one I add, so this was the one here. I really like that. So I would pull this into Photoshop. I would just kind of manipulate this a little bit to throw some light up. But then I wanted to just test it out. And I said, hey, I want to add glasses. So basically you just take this guy again, and then you select the area that you want, and then you just tell it, just like we did. And I added glasses, but it didn't really do a good job. And so that's it. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, you know how to reach me. And until next time, be good to each other.